yourself at home, yeah? Spanish Pinta! One more number. I call this one, The Legend Will Never Die.
So, the first time I saw Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, I wasn't expecting anything groundbreaking, right? Like, it's an animated film about a cat in boots. Sure, the first one was fun, and Antonio Banderas voicing a suave cat is undeniably charming, but this one? I don't know, I guess I thought it'd be just a good time with some laughs and maybe a catchy song, but then death showed up.
You are no bounty hunter, you are death. And I don't mean it metaphorically or rhetorically or poetically or theoretically or in any other fancy way. I'm death, straight up.
And let me tell you, I did not sign up for an existential crisis. Now, I don't know if you've seen it. If you haven't, you should. But death in this movie isn't just some faceless, hooded figure with a scythe who points dramatically and tells you your time is up. No, death is a wolf. A terrifyingly cool wolf with red eyes, a pair of sickles, and a whistle that might as well be your soul exiting your body.
If it isn't Puss in Boots himself. In the flesh.
He's not here to bargain or negotiate or say something poetic about the circle of life. He's there to collect what's his. He's there for Puss. And somehow, through all that, he's deeply personal in a way that's hard to shake off. Because here's the thing about death in this movie. He's not portrayed as evil. He's not some villain twirling his metaphorical mustache and cackling at everyone's demise.
Yes, excellent!
Oops, still on.
He's calm, methodical, unrelenting. And I think that's what's so unsettling. He's not mad that Puss is living his life. He's mad that Puss has been wasting it. And that hit me hard. Like, what does it even mean to waste a life? I've thought about that a lot since watching this movie. Because here's Puss, this literal legend, who's done these grand, heroic things, fought monsters, saved towns, lived in a way most of us only dream of. But death doesn't care about any of that. None of it matters if you don't appreciate it while it's happening. I'll be honest, I've caught myself running on autopilot more times than I can count. You wake up, you do the same thing you did yesterday, maybe something different happens but not really, and then you go to bed. Rinse and repeat. Days blend into weeks, weeks blur into months, and you don't even notice until you're sitting there on a random Tuesday thinking, wait, how is it already next year? And I think that's why death as a character messed me up so much. It's not just that he's a reminder that our time is finite. Though yeah, that's definitely part of it. It's that he's a reminder to wake up, to stop coasting, to stop pretending like there's always more time to get it right. And I hate how easy it is to forget that.
I'll tell you how risky life is. You're not going to get out alive. That's risky. The Englishman says, well, if that's the way it's going to work out, let's give it a go. Right, that's what it's for. Give it a go.
There's this one scene, I'm sure you know which one I'm talking about, where Puss is running through the woods, absolutely terrified, and death is just there, always a step behind him, whistling that haunting tune. And for the first time in the entire franchise, you see Puss genuinely afraid, not of a monster, not of losing a fight, but of his own mortality, of the realization that he's not invincible. And isn't that all of us? Like, we live our lives pretending we've got 9 of them, right? We put things off because we think there's always tomorrow. We don't say the things we should because we think we'll have another chance. We don't chase the things we want because there's always some excuse. And then one day you wake up and realize you've been whistling past the graveyard the whole time. I remember sitting there watching that scene, and it hit me. I think a lot of people avoid thinking about death because it's uncomfortable, obviously, but also because it forces you to confront how you're living. And if I'm being honest, that's not always a fun thing to think about. The movie makes such a profound point about fear, because fear isn't always the bad guy. Fear is what forces Puss to grow. Fear is what makes him realize that his life isn't just about big adventures and epic stories. It's about the moments in between. The quiet ones, the messy ones, the ones that don't make it into the legend but are no less important. I don't know why, but that stayed with me. This idea that death isn't there to punish Puss, but to wake him up, to make him see. There's a moment toward the end where Puss finally stands up to death, not in arrogance, not with this overblown sense of his own immortality, but with respect, with gratitude. And it's that shift from running from death to accepting it that feels so deeply human. Because at the end of the day, we all have to make peace with it, don't we?
Thank you. Oh, Dad, why did he have to die?
Death isn't something we can fight or outsmart or charm our way out of. It's there, always. But instead of being this looming shadow, it can be a guide, a reminder to live in a way that when the time comes, you don't feel cheated. I think about that a lot now. How I spend my time, who I spend it with, whether I'm actually living or just existing. And it's not like I've got it all figured out. I'm still procrastinating on things I shouldn't, still making excuses, still getting caught up in things that, in the grand scheme of things, don't really matter. But I'm trying. And isn't that what it's all about? Trying, not getting it perfect, but doing the best you can with what you've got. There's this line toward the end of the movie where Puss talks about cherishing his one life. And yeah, it's a little on the nose, but it's true. We only get one. And it's messy and unpredictable and sometimes feels like a complete disaster, but it's ours. There's something uniquely terrifying about facing your own mortality through the lens of a wolf with a whistle. Like it shouldn't work. This isn't The Seventh Seal or some dark, brooding indie film about existential dread. It's an animated movie, but that's the beauty of it. It sneaks up on you. It plants these little seeds of thought that grow and grow until you can't ignore them anymore. I think what I've taken away from all this is that life doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful. It doesn't have to be legendary or epic or even particularly exciting. It just has to be real, honest, appreciated. And maybe that's what Death in Puss in Boots is really trying to teach us. That the scariest thing isn't dying, it's not living while you have the chance. There's another thing too that stuck with me after watching. Puss isn't just afraid of death. He's afraid of being ordinary, of fading into obscurity, of being forgotten. And I think a lot of us can relate to that, even if we don't like to admit it. We want to matter, to leave something behind, to know that our time here meant something. But maybe the real lesson is that you don't have to be a legend to matter. You don't have to slay dragons or fight giants or save the world. Sometimes just being here, really being here, is enough. Showing up for the people you love, taking in the small moments, finding joy in the little things. That's what makes a life. So yeah, maybe I walked into that movie expecting a fun adventure and walked out with an existential crisis instead. But honestly, I'm grateful for it. Because if a wolf with a whistle and a pair of sickles can make me stop and think about what I'm doing with my life, then maybe that's exactly what I needed. And if you're still here, listening to me ramble about all this, maybe it's what you needed too.
Flash, can I get your autograph? Been following you for a long time.
Puss in Boots laughs in the face of death.
If this narrative resonated with you, do support us. Hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe. Thank you for staying with us to the end. See you in the next video on Plaid Chronicles.